His works include poetry volumes, Cry Rage, Pass Me a Meatball, Jones, No Time for Dreams, Poison Wells, and Other Delights, and Flames and Flowers. A novel, The Party is Over, and a book of short stories, The Park and Other Stories. Well, that's a veteran poet, writer, publisher and ex-journalist James Matthews, who turned 90 this past Wednesday. Matthews used his poetry to fight apartheid and played a pivotal role in the renaming of the Artscape Theatre from the Nico Malan Theatre. And to help us pay tribute to this literary giant, we're joined by multi-award-winning poet, playwright and performance artist Phillippa Yaa de Villiers. Phillippa, very good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Right.
Thank you very much for giving me this honor.
It's an absolute pleasure.
I would like to start with a poem.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay. Freedom owns the poet's soul. He shall not be garbed in a cloak of ideology, his voice not laced by legislation, his voice the voice of birds, a robin heralding hope, a nightingale lyrically lamenting pain, an eagle emoting the people's power. On birdwing, he will streak from freehold to the dungeon. His songs, freedom songs filled with fire, the words flaring flames, the poet's fervor fueled with strength, gained from draughts of intoxicating water, drawn from an oasis of deep, dank, poisoned wells. James Matthews.
Phillippa,
one of our great poets, you know.
Jeez, man.
He's such an amazing poet.
When did you come to grasp with his work, though?
I think it was in 2007, where I was invited to Cuba with the Department of Arts and Culture, and I went with Kiaribeti Khositile, Sipiwe Mahala, Lebo Mashile, Kanya Magubani, and James. And James is a poet who's full of life and full of joy. And one of the things that was really great about him, he says that you must never put your art above you. Yes. You're always a human being, right? True. So he swore all the time. He was very open about the fact that he had battled alcoholism, you know. And I think the thing is that a poet is a lover and a fighter. Yeah. Normal people can either be a lover or a fighter. True. A poet is a fighter who loves, a lover who fights, you know. So he was fighting, and the big fight that he fought was against alcoholism and about apartheid, you know.
So what is it about his work that speaks to you, Phillippa, as the creative?
It's about freedom, and the freedom to be yourself, whoever you are. And I think the other thing is that he was one of the first poets to really claim blackness, you know. Yeah. He didn't say he was a colored poet, he said he was a black poet, because he wanted to align himself with the voiceless, with the poorest, you know. And so in that way he created a home for himself, because his words became the words of the poorest and the people who did not have the space to speak. And he was always somebody who always speaks about love. Poets always talk about love, and love doesn't see color. Love is something that is there for all of us. Love does not see color.
You know, I've read some of his poems, and I know that it is very, very infectious, and I know that he's had immense influence on you. What kind of influence did he have on your work?
Well, I think, yeah, he's told me that I must not think that I'm better than anyone else, and I mustn't take myself too seriously ever, and I must write my own story. I must be true to my own story, because otherwise it's going to mess me up, you know. So I must delve within myself and share that as much as I can.
So what role does poetry, in your view, play in fighting social injustices, in as much as he used poetry as a weapon to fight apartheid?
Firstly, it liberates yourself as an individual. When you're liberated as an individual, you can bond with other people. When you can bond with other people, you can do something. You can't do it on your own. You can't change the world on your own. So it's that thing of liberating yourself and bonding with other people. And also coming to terms with your history and finding the metaphor, the image that makes your life more bright, and you know, the beauty of words as well is something that we really need as human beings.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the beauty of words after all.
Exactly.
And you are one of the privileged few who've had interactions with Mr. Matthews. So from those interactions, what lessons have you learned?
Well, the last time that I saw him, we were walking back from the Jersey Book Festival back to his hotel, and there was music playing, and we just started dancing freely in the street. And the security guard said to us, "Are you from overseas?" And we said, "No, we're from here. We belong here." And I think one of the things that I really learned from him all the time is to be joyful and to use whatever's available to me to make more beauty and inspire others to find the beauty in themselves.
And what's his best work and why?
His best work is poetry. I mean, he's written short stories as well. All of his poems, you know, I mean, this poem, Cry Rage, and, you know, you can tell that he's a great poet because filmmakers like Shelley Barry have made a beautiful documentary about him, about a dissident poet. There's also the singer, Melanie Scholz, who put this poem to music, Freedom's Child. Should I read it for you?
We have like 10 seconds. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Just briefly.
Freedom's child, you've been denied too long. Fill your lungs and cry rage. Step forward and take your rightful place. You're not going to grow up knocking on the back door. For you, there will be no traveling third class enforced by law, with segregated schooling and sitting on the floor. The rivers of our land, mountaintops and the shore is yours. It will not be denied anymore. Cry rage, freedom's child.
You know, his poems have got this knack and ability of transporting us to a world of our own that we've never imagined before. But Phillippa, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is multi-award winning poet, playwright and performance artist Phillippa Yaa de Villiers, helping us pay tribute to the legendary South African poet, writer and publisher James Matthews, who turned 90 this past Wednesday. This is Morning Live. Let's take a break.